Hello, and welcome to Move with Soul, the podcast where we talk about how connecting with your physical body brings you back to more of your truth, who you really are, so you can go out and share your gifts with the world. Now, would you believe me if I told you that just by working with your shoulders, the way your muscles work around the joint, the flexibility around the joint, the way you carry yourself in space, specifically through your shoulders, affects your confidence? Affects the way that you interact with the world and the way people perceive you and are able to feel held around you. I feel like in the spiritual world, anyways, we're always talking about the other way around, going straight to the internal energy first before addressing the body. Even if you look back, right, in spirituality across many traditions, it's always about transcending the body. But today we're going to talk about 3 postural patterns specifically to do with the shoulders that might be giving you a little clue as to what's going on in your inner world. And I fantasize about a world where people understand these subtle cues from their bodies. And sometimes, just starting there. Working with the body has profound effects across your entire being. So let's get into it. Interestingly enough, these 3 patterns are the most common among people that I've seen in my yoga class and students, in personal training and fitness classes, along with my embodiment coaching clients. And you don't have to be a professional to observe this. If you go out into the world, maybe you're going to start to notice these 3 patterns more and more and start to create a puzzle. Ooh, this person, that person, right? I can already assume that if you're listening to this, you're probably pretty empathetic and aware. So let me know in the comments if this creates any little light bulb bubbles for you. And the intention here is not to diagnose and not to say, oh, because your shoulders appear this way, that you're internally dealing with this. No, not at all. All this is something for you to think about and reflect if this is true for you. The work that I do in my one-on-one embodiment sessions or with my long-term mentorship clients is guiding them intuitively through embodiment as they go through this practice so they can find their own answers. Now, that's safe for the one-on-one sessions because it can be pretty vulnerable stuff. So in this podcast, my intention is for you to just get some ideas and explore these energies within yourself and maybe even someone that is close to you. So the first pattern, let's talk about rounded shoulders. Now, there's a few things. With our lives now, we are not upright carrying heavy things all around like we did back in the day. We're sitting at our desks, we're driving, we are texting, we are on social media. All these things require this internal rotation or hyper internal rotation of the shoulder joint, creating these rounded shoulders. Now, on an anatomical level, if you think about it, even if you right now just round your shoulders forward, you'll notice that your chest muscle shortens and your back has to lengthen around the shoulder joint. And if you've ever had any, if you know that nagging knot that's kind of right between your shoulder blades, or if you've ever put a therapy ball there, it's just super ouch, this could be why. Because what happens is the back muscles have to pull extra to try to bring the shoulder blade back, but the tight chest wins in this one. This can lead to problems like shoulder impingement, rotator cuff stuff, and just a nagging, dull, achy pain. Now, on an energetic level, the rounded shoulder position is closes the heart. It's like a form of protection, right? Think about being in a fetal position or closing down, or, if you've ever been embarrassed when you were a kid and you just take your arms across your chest and you're closed off, don't want people to notice you, maybe you're feeling kind of down. And I have here one of my favorite books. It's called The Secret Language of Your Body by Ina Segal. And she specifically mentions in here rounded shoulders. And what she says is that having a droopy shoulder, she calls it, indicates a lack of joy and fun, seriousness, focusing on problems rather than solutions. Interesting. I wonder if being on all our devices all the time and looking down is making us focus more on problems versus solutions. And anatomically speaking, another thing that can come from this is the winging shoulder blade, the winging scapula. So if you've ever seen someone raise their hand over their head and their shoulder blade is poking out, that's often caused to this rounded shoulder ordeal. And when you think about the back, the spine, the shoulder blades, the wings, the back of your heart, the high heart chakra, that's your support system, right? Like the front of your heart is giving love, the back is receiving love, being supported, being carried. So I wonder what that could mean if the shoulder blades are popping off. From personal experience, I actually had this movement pattern where I had the winging shoulder blades, and what actually fixed that was my Ashtanga yoga practice, because there's 56 chaturangas, so that's high push-up to low push-up. And if you have this pattern with the rounded shoulders and the shoulder blade winging, you are headed for the orthopedic surgeon if you don't fix this. So how to correct the rounded shoulders? This is a very, very generalized step-by-step process, but if you have more specific questions on this, please reach out. It's actually bringing the shoulder back into a regular rotation, thinking about up, back, and down. Or if you have your hands by your side, rotating your thumbs a little bit more forward, and you'll start to notice that your back muscles start to engage. Physiologically, it's like reawakening the neural pathways between the muscles that have been overly stretched or lengthened in your back, so then your chest muscle can relax. You might also have to do some tissue work to stretch and massage your chest muscles and your neck to be able to hold this position. Energetically, the rounded shoulders, even just put yourself there in that position for a moment, or you might already be there already. Feel into that energy of like sliding down, slumping down, not wanting to be seen, not wanting to be heard, and then open up your chest. Feel your collarbones expand. Take a big breath in. And it's almost like this energy signature that you can hold more. You are not afraid of who's going to see you. You are not afraid of what's to come. You feel supported by your strong back. Are you with me? Now, another common movement pattern, shoulders up, squeeze towards your ears. In your back, you have many muscles. And your trapezius muscle, it connects all the way up in your cervical spine by your neck, out and attaches to your shoulder joints, and then it goes almost all the way down your back. But the upper traps, that big squishy, thick muscle that you can squeeze just in between your shoulder and your neck, that likes to take over all the work. I'm sure you've noticed this in the past. When you feel stressed out, your shoulders creep all the way up and they like to be worn as earrings. And that's due to an overactive upper trapezius. This muscle might overcontract when you're carrying something that's too heavy, energetically or in real life. This muscle might contract when we feel stressed or worried or behind. And my friend Ina Segal over here says, carrying the world on your shoulders, holding on to too much strain, stress, and worry, feeling insecure, unsure, frightened, and overwhelmed. I mean, have you ever noticed how when there's way too much going on, way too much on your plate, way too much running through your mind, the shoulders automatically tighten up? Versus when you're, relaxing in your favorite place, you feel at ease, you have your favorite beverage next to you, good friends, like your pet, they kind of start to slide down, right? And there's a really, really good trapezius release that I learned from Anastasia Beauty Fascia is her handle, I think. So check her out. I'll link her page down below for this. She has a lot of great tips. But I think it'd be too difficult to explain in words. But the practical thing you can do to release your upper traps is to strengthen your lower traps, your lower trapezius. Again, to the back. Interesting. This pattern of these shoulder movement positions that are signaling these less than desirable things, the solution to them so far is to strengthen the back. So a good way to do that is your cobras. That's where you're laying down on your belly and you're lifting and lowering. Or also, even if you lay down on your belly and you extend your hands in front of you, and then you pull your elbows down towards your waist. That's going to just be a really nice, simple way to get at that. But there's so many resources. And again, if you have questions, just reach out. So we have rounded, droopy shoulders, scrunched up towards your ears, overactive trapezius shoulders. And the last movement pattern we can discuss today is when you have uneven shoulders, when one is up higher than the other. So if you go to a mirror and just kind of shake it out, right? Shake it out, like come back to your natural stance. And if you were to put two wooden planks on either shoulder, would one be higher than the other? And now again, this can be due to maybe having a little bit of an S curve in your spine, leaning over to one side, carrying things on one side. If you have a job that requires you to use one arm more, there are many reasons why this can happen physically, anatomically in your body. But one thing interesting to note is the right side of the body has to do with the masculine energy, the solar channel. The left side of the body has to do with the feminine energy, the lunar channel. So that solar energy, if you're not familiar, is that like moving forward, divine, masculine, making things happen, getting from A to B, direct. And the lunar energy, the feminine, is more flowing, intuitive, harder to grasp, that more vast, the void, the emptiness, the darkness, softness, sultry. So it might be interesting to note which shoulder is higher on you if you have this pattern, or if somebody you know has this pattern. I'm getting the visual right now of when you're carrying a really heavy purse or a really heavy bag up on your shoulder, and that shoulder automatically, even though it's being weighed down by the bag, the shoulder gets higher than the other one to compensate for the heaviness that it's carrying. I believe nothing is coincidence. So what is that signaling in your body if one shoulder is chronically higher than the other, one side, the right side or the left side? Could be holding more emotional baggage in one area of your life. One side of your body could be asking for more attention, right? If it's all scrunched up, it likely needs to be relaxed and released. Now, in this general overview of the 3 most common shoulder patterns, shoulder positions, which one stood out to you? Did anything that I say that they may energetically represent sound familiar? And the coolest thing about embodiment work and about tuning into the physical body in this way with this deeper meaning and extracting these little cues and messages that we're constantly getting from our physical body as it is mirroring our internal world is that sometimes we don't have to dissect why. In fact, with embodiment work, I hope you don't. I hope you just feel it. I hope you go into it and strengthen these muscles that need to be strengthened, or stretch these muscles that are asking and begging to be stretched, and notice how things start to change for you. From my own experience, before I started practicing Ashtanga, where that essentially fixed my shoulder blade misfortune, my shoulder blade misalignment, I didn't have much confidence to stand up in front of a room and speak and lead and teach, even though it was my dream to teach yoga. I had fantasized about it for years, and I spent so much time looking into different teacher trainings and all kinds of things. And then I finally went through my teacher training, and then I was still so nervous to teach. And I said, no, I'm going to wait. Like, there was always an excuse, right? But it was through Ashtanga yoga that over time I gained the confidence to teach. And I gained the confidence to hold the space of a room and share what was really, really deeply calling to me, the practice of yoga and movement. This is not the only story that I've heard similar to that. That is the power of using your outermost layer, what is tangibly here, your physical body, in order to do the deep work and giving your mind a rest. Like, I know you know why this happened and why you're like this and why you always do that. But sometimes knowing why only gets us so far, and we have to work somatically to realign ourselves. If this is interesting to you and you're wondering, wow, I want some specific to me help with this, I just launched the one-on-one session called Somatic Realignment. And we look at just this, your posture, how you hold yourself, how you carry yourself. And I will guide you intuitively through your own embodiment practice where you'll find your own answers, because this is just a scratch the surface general overview, but we all have our own unique story that our bodies tell. So I'll leave the details if you want to learn more about that below. And if you're listening to this in real time, I'm doing a launch party over on TikTok and Instagram where I'm going to be sharing 30 tips of somatic realignment, how to implement this for yourself right away and gain more confidence and connect with your truth so you can go out there and share your magic that I know you are so ready for, and we are ready for it too. So thank you for tuning in, and let me know what came up for you in the comments, and I cannot wait to connect with you soon.